I might be a bit late to the party, but Call of Duty games have some pretty cool stories and lore. Probably not much of a surprise to some of you, but since I've never played them, I didn't realize the games had campaigns till recently. In case you're wondering how I found out about their existence, in May this year, I was suggested a YouTube video covering the small details in the Black Ops Cold War campaign. My interest was piqued as an aspiring indie game dev and someone who loves to see the tiny details that get put into games to make them feel more alive. And once that video was over, call me an out-of-stock item cause I was sold! The 80s, espionage and military vibes, out of this world. The characters, their designs, and the story writing overall, absolutely killer. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed, scar-faced dude who moved into my head rent-free? Still there, causing brain rot. I devoured that campaign whole on YouTube, and it became one of my newest favorite things, closely followed by the campaign's Black Ops 1, 2, and the Modern Warfare reboots. Okay, maybe not the Modern Warfare free reboot, it's not as bad as everyone says, but it definitely could have been better. Man, if I had a nickel for every time a recent remake of the third game in a famous franchise I just became a fan of flopped, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Anyway, love those campaigns, and the only reason I haven't checked out any of the ones from the other games or zombies is I want to leave it a surprise till I can afford them and play them for myself. Lower your dang prices on 5 to 10-year-old games, Blizzard, sheesh. Now, with Black Ops 6 coming out soon, of course I've been thinking a lot about the campaign, and it made me realize that as a new fan, I might have some new perspectives on what might happen in the story. So I've decided to throw my hat in the ring and see if I can figure out some plot points before the game releases. Before I get into it, I'd like to mention a few things. First off, I'm mainly trying to prove the possibility of some existing fan theories about the campaign by trying to find evidence and figuring out why and how it could work in the lore. Some evidence or ideas may have also been mentioned by others before, but I'll bring them up since it'd be silly not to mention material that strengthens a theory. On a related note, these are just theories. I'm not saying they're canon to the story, so don't get too fussed about it if you don't like these ideas, because if they're wrong, they'll be disproven in just a few days at this point and they won't hurt anything. And if they're right, I didn't change anything, I just predicted it happening. Also, please keep the comments civil. We already got enough war in the game, so we don't need one below this video. Next up, any videos, pictures, and research I use will have its source credited on screen as it shows up and will be linked in the description or a pinned comment if I run out of room in the description. Lastly, there will be spoilers for the campaign of Black Ops 1, 2, and Cold War, as well as the Modern Warfare reboots of 1, 2, and 3. It's only a quick mention, but trust me on including stuff from the Modern Warfare reboots in my speculation. It'll make sense when we get there. I'll also be showing promotional materials for Black Ops 6, but no worries, I'm not mentioning any leaks because I haven't seen any of them other than trivial things like a screenshot of Russell's face. Alright, enough chatter. We've got a job to do. Starting off with the least crazy and controversial theory, then going down the iceberg from there, let's begin with Alex Mason isn't dead. Why are you booing? You know I'm right. Or at least I'm extremely confident it's true. And yeah, with this being the least out there theory, things are gonna get fun later. For those of you needing a recap, in Black Ops 2 there are multiple missions that are flashbacks set before Black Ops 6. Long story short, during one of said flashbacks, we see Frank Woods was tricked into shooting his best buddy, Alex Mason. While no matter what the player does, he has to be shot. The player can either do as they're told and headshot Alex, ultimately killing him, or realize something fishy is going on, shoot his legs, and later get an ending where it's revealed this decision lets Alex secretly survive the ordeal. Now, when the first trailer was released for Black Ops 6, a bunch of content creators and game journalists came out with new info they got in advance at a special meeting at Treyarch Studios. And one of the things that was revealed was that Woods killing Alex was the canon choice now. This has put a pretty even split in the fanbase as far as I can see on whether to believe it's true or not, and personally I'm one of the people who says this can't be the truth. One of the earliest reasons fans were saying that Alex is probably alive, despite what the devs said, is the ad campaign for Black Ops 6 and its slogan, The Truth Lies. This confusing oxymoron of a slogan not only tells me and many others to question everything, but also basically screams the meaning of Obi-Wan's classic line from Return of the Jedi.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
So how does this possibly mean that Alex is actually alive if this is a theme the game ads are pushing for the story? Well, when you make the choice that saves Alex in Black Ops 2, he's believed to be dead for around 36 years. The entire world considered him gone, including his son David and Woods, until in the final cutscenes of the game he shows up. So from a certain point of view, he would be dead even if he was alive. Confusing statement, I know, but it lines up. Speaking of ads for Black Ops 6, another more recent and much bigger piece of evidence that's been added to the list is some footage that has been used in an official video showing the main Black Ops timeline, specifically when Alex gets shot and him lying on the ground after. This clip is very telling on what happens to him, because how his face looks and the two animations of him falling over when he gets shot in the head versus the legs are visibly different. The face thing is obvious. Getting shot in the legs only has a blood splatter on his neck, and a headshot leaves a bullet mark and a new blood spray on his forehead. As for the animations, they show him stumbling and falling to the side if he's shot in the legs, and him going stiff and falling back when shot in the head. Making the comparisons, the footage used in the trailers is from choosing to shoot his legs. May I just say that if they use this footage and he isn't alive, they better get some different marketing people, because this would be the fumble of a century in my opinion. And to all the comments I've seen saying it was chosen over the headshot clip to avoid censorship, like getting marked as for adults or demonetized on YouTube, how has every YouTuber who's played through that moment or even gorier moments from the Call of Duty games avoided both? Trust me, I know YouTube can be inconsistent and weird with their rules, but the last thing they're worried about is a quick PS3 era of graphics blood splatter and a black circle on his head. Anyway, in case you want some more clues, a quick but small detail in an interview with the devs, they've stumbled to say that it's confirmed that Alex is dead when talking about it.
And that obviously includes Hudson and Mason dying. Yes, they are dead. I am sorry. We do. But I did see a lot of people confused about that. They're dead. So unfortunately they died, but
they literally started to say the word confirmed, but then stopped and changed what they were saying. The only reason they would stop mid-sentence to avoid saying the word confirmed is if it wasn't true. The last things I've got towards the theory are more on the side of what makes a profit. Killing off Alex would literally be throwing away money for multiple reasons. First off, remember when I said he was thought to be dead for 36 years before he shows up? Well, the game literally asked the big question of what he was doing all that time.
Where the f*** you been for 30 years?
Then leaves it unanswered. This is one of the easiest setups to make another game, because who wouldn't want to know what adventures a kick-butt like Alex had been up to? Fans have been wanting a game about this for years, but if Alex is dead, they're tossing a perfectly good plot in the trash. Another way they'd be shooting themselves in the foot is via enraging the fanbase with his death. While no choice can make everyone happy, I think the majority of the fanbase would be happy to see such a fan favorite and the OG playable Black Ops character alive. On the flip side, the last Call of Duty title, Modern Warfare 3, showed what happens when you kill the beloved character with Soap. While the game already wasn't considered the best, Soap's death was the thing that really twisted the knife for a good chunk of fans. Sure, some of the backlash was due to bad plot, timing, and execution, but this reaction would scare any writer to be careful with the thought of axing a character. Since Modern Warfare 3 came out in November of 2023, even if the story was going in the direction of Alex being dead up till then, in my opinion, there would be plenty of time to change course and either make a quick end credit cutscene or something for the post-launch Warzone story showing Alex is alive. Heck, they probably wouldn't even have to change anything that was already made, because even if you show something like Woods having a PTSD flashback of a dead Alex, he could still be alive because Woods wouldn't know he was alive till many years later. Lastly, we're going to play a quick game of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. If you were marketing Black Ops 6, which do you think would excite fans the most? A. Say Alex is alive, but he's dead. B. Say Alex is alive, and he is alive. C. Say Alex is dead, and he is dead. Or D. Say Alex is dead, but he's alive. I'll give you a second to answer. Or no, I won't, because it's obvious. The correct answer is D. Out of the ways you could market Alex's fate other than not marketing at all, A would make fans furious. B would be a little excitement at the announcement, but nothing much after. C would be a decent amount of chatter during marketing and after release. But D would get the pre-release conversations and have major hype for a long while after release. It easily makes the best business sense, since with more hype, people will stick around playing longer, be more willing to make in-game purchases, and share content for longer, causing more people to see the game and maybe get it, continuing the profit cycle stronger and longer. So I don't know about you, but until we get through the end of the Black Ops 6 post-launch Warzone story, I'm holding out hope Alex Mason is live and well, ready to kick butt in a new game. You know, talking about a post-launch Warzone story is the perfect segue to the next fury I'm tackling. Russell Adler was brainwashed by the CIA. I'm sure there's a good few Call of Duty fans who are extremely confused right now on where this came from, which I don't blame you, it's a bit more obscure. So let me break it down. During the Cold War post-launch story in Warzone, Russell Adler was kidnapped by the newest leader of Perseus, Stitch, and while being held captive, he was brainwashed using the same numbers program Alex Mason was brainwashed with in Black Ops 1. The rest of the cast eventually figures this out, and somehow manages to fix his mind. Now, the possibility of the CIA brainwashing him, specifically using MKUltra, comes in when Russell is being deprogrammed. There are two main pieces of evidence. The first is while this was happening, in a cutscene we went in Russell's head and saw the red doors and TVs playing Vietnam War films like Bell with C due to the influence of MKUltra during the Cold War campaign. The other being that after the numbers program was removed from Russell, Hudson said a very suspicious line.
We've got a job to do.
Again, the very same trigger phrase used to keep Bell compliant with orders during all the MKUltra stuff.
Got a job to do.
You got a job to do. Got a job to do.
The trigger phrase kept you in line, but it didn't get us everything we needed.
I've seen many brush these things off as just some cool Easter eggs, but most Easter eggs aren't things that could imply something added to the story. For example, a piece of dialogue that was an Easter egg would be more along the lines of if Russell punched Woods and Woods said, "Ha, you can't kill me," calling back to his famous Black Ops 1 line. It's a fun callback, but can't affect the story. Hudson saying that line and it not eventually paying off would be equal to if Captain America in the MCU movies said, "Hail Hydra," making everyone think he's a villain, but he's still good, and then there never ends up being an explanation. It's just bad writing. Some fans thought as well that maybe the red door in Vietnam film thing was part of the brainwashing imagery with no connection to MKUltra, but I highly doubt it. Treyarch did an incredible job using clever writing and visual storytelling to hint to the player throughout the Cold War campaign that Bell was brainwashed and at their true identity. Go check out a video like this one that shows them all off if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's really cool to see. But when a company is this amazing at giving story hints to players, I don't think they'd use a specifically associated visual without a reason. I also don't think it's that they accidentally mixed it up either, since in Cold War they clearly kept the new MKUltra visuals locked to when playing as Bell, and the numbers were only seen when playing as Alex, and he saw or heard his numbers triggers, like seeing a picture of Steiner. They've done nothing but good at being consistent with storytelling, the visuals have been strictly kept to their respective brainwashing programs, and I don't know why Treyarch would change it now. I'd also like to point out as some more minor evidence that during a recent podcast, Treyarch confirmed this Warzone story focusing on Russell and Stitch was canon.
Yeah, so the live seasons, and especially in Warzone, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how do you guys look at that? Is that canon? Is that, how does it all work out?
So we were trying some new things in post-launch, and to us, that post-launch story that we did on Cold War is canon when we introduced Stitch.
I don't think they'd bring that up if the events of it weren't going to affect the story of Black Ops 6. Plus, it wouldn't be the first time Call of Duty used a Warzone post-launch story to make a reveal about the next game coming out. A lot of people don't seem to know this, but in the Modern Warfare 2 post-launch, it was revealed that Philip Graves was alive, despite everyone thinking he was dead.
Shadow himself.
Welcome, Graves.
Heard you died in a tank in South America.
Well, I wasn't in that tank.
Similarly, in the Modern Warfare Warzone story, it was shown that Alex Keller survived the explosion he was caught in.
Echo 3-1, reporting for duty.
Alex, thought you were dead.
Still standing.
While I don't know if Call of Duty has done this any other times, I think it's a reasonable guess to say they might have been hinting at a plot point for Black Ops 6 knowing this. So if the CIA did brainwash Russell, why would they do it? I've got a few ideas, and it could be one or more of them. As crazy as this sounds, he could have just been used as a test subject for MKUltra. It would line up with real life after all. What's that, you say? The heck do you mean it lines up with real life? Well, not so fun fact, but MKUltra was a real-life CIA program that was tasked with finding brainwashing and psychological torture methods during the Cold War era. In real life, while a lot of info on it was destroyed when it got revealed to the public, one thing that was disclosed was that it was tested on unsuspecting members of the general US public and co-workers in the CIA. To put a connection to the game, the higher-ups could have just seen how well it worked with Bell, done more research, and decided to test it on one or multiple agents, including Russell. It's a cruel idea, but it's a possible reason since Call of Duty does like to take various amounts of inspiration from real life, including in Cold War with MKUltra, Project Greenlight, and Perseus. Another option could be that he was put under MKUltra to counteract the numbers program. We already know that Woods could tell that Alex Mason never truly recovered from his numbers brainwashing, having it pop up every now and again when he encountered a trigger.
No. Mason said he didn't see those numbers anymore, but I don't know. Not so sure about that. A couple times, I saw the tick. And I get that look in his eye, and he starts scanning the room. Next thing you know, he's talking to the Russian. Reznov. Good old Tricky Vic.
On top of that, you can see when Russell encounters Stitch, he tries to reactivate the numbers brainwashing and Russell has to fight it off for a moment.
12, 19, 14. Don't waste your breath. I'm clean.
So if anyone knew about the long-lasting effects of this brainwashing, perhaps they wanted to use the controlling abilities of MKUltra to use as a failsafe if Russell went crazy or regressed. Maybe they still don't even have a way to fix someone who had the numbers used on them, and MKUltra is the next best cure. Cause unless you want to count Alex getting shocked till the cows come home a treatment for it...
Where were you born? Kiss my ass!
I don't think they had a way to fix it back then, at least. Next, the possibility of it just being to set him up, either at the time or plant seeds for the future to blame him as a CIA mole like we're dealing with currently, should be considered. Now, don't say it's too early in the timeline, because Call of Duty villains are notorious for being willing to wait years and years to see their plans work. Think about this. There's already a nice clip of what looks to me like Russell attacking Marshall almost like he was willing to shoot him. I thought to myself plenty looking at that clip, the one from the gameplay trailer where he shoots a guy point blank, and this official screenshot, he seems more aggressive than usual. The only time I at least remember him scowling in Cold War was in the Duga ending when he tries to stab you. He's usually a lot more reserved and cool-headed than this. But you know what this does remind me of? Alex Mason getting all crazy and aggressive when the numbers was at its peak influence.
Yes! I'm gonna kill you!
Could be that Russell's opened his feelings up more with time, but it's something to think about. A final reasoning is that looking at Russell himself, maybe he has a secret the CIA wants. He's a very mysterious man, and since MKUltra was used to divulge intel on Perseus, it's possible history is repeating itself. Plus, if we can take what we learned from Bell, that red door is where you hide your deepest secrets.
Your innermost secrets were always locked behind a door.
So he might be hiding something. What that would be, though, I've got no clue unless you want me to go into full tinfoil hat territory. One last thing I'd like to bring up is where being brainwashed again might leave Russell. Whether it's just the numbers program having blended his brain, or more with MKUltra like I'm suggesting, he's for sure going to be messed up, and maybe gain some sympathy or even regret over brainwashing Bell. So I hope they address this in the story as much as they say they're going to address Wood's trauma over Mason. But if it turns out he's been betrayed by his own country, and he finds out, he does not seem like the type to let it go. He's going to put a stop to it, or at the least get revenge on who is responsible, even if it kills him. I honestly think that's how the game is going to end in a sense. No, not necessarily with him dying, but ending the MKUltra program. What made me come up with this idea was an obvious inspiration for the game, the Robert Redford movie 3 Days of the Condor. Just like how fans noticed another Redford film called Spy Game lined up in different ways with Cold War, this film lines up with Black Ops 6. Not only does Redford naturally look like Russell, there are many similarities. One fashion choice in the movie seems quite similar to a shot in game. Redford's character Joe Turner works at a clandestine CIA office, and Russell is a CIA clandestine special officer, and Joe has the codename Condor, and Russell's last name, Adler, means eagle in German. There are even main plot points where both these characters are framed and hunted down for a CIA scheme, and the movie having the reveal that it was all about oil.
Mystery stories in Arabic. Wait, what the hell is so important about oil fields? This whole thing was about oil.
can be compared to the game being set during the Gulf War. Where I'm thinking the game will match up with the movie for my idea is at the end, when Redford's character goes to the press with the whole CIA plot.
What? What did you do? I told him a story. You play games? I told him a story.
It's left off where we don't know if it gets published and if he gets to live free from more CIA assassination attempts or let alone live at all. I'm not sure if it would be left this ambiguous for if it would succeed or on any character's fates, but I bet one of the last cutscenes of the game will be Russell going public with something, probably MKUltra, mirroring how it was leaked to the public in real life, to end what caused suffering for him, Bell, and even if not by the same type of brainwashing, Alex, giving a pseudo-closure for everyone. It might even make sense to have a strong plot relevance like this to these characters and brainwashing with the logo for Black Ops 6, a Cerberus. 3 separate heads, usually described to be individuals with their own identities, but still connected to the same beast. It may not end up being true at all, but I do enjoy how poetic a story this would be if it was. Okay, with that now tackled, it's time for the final theory, and it's a doozy. I strongly want to remind those who stuck around this long that this one especially is just a theory, because it's a bit out there and I know it's quite disliked. Now that I've at least tried to save myself from the impending angry mob, let's grab our tinfoil hats, because this theory is that Bell is Harry Stone, meaning Bell is alive. Whoa, 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 what did I just say a second ago? Put down the pitchforks. Or should I say homing knives and RCXDs? Yeah, I know this is really out there, but what's a theory video without a kinda crackpot one thrown in? Don't worry though, I've got evidence including some new pieces I've at least not seen mentioned before. To start off the theory with my reasons for believing Bell is alive, I'd first like to say bravo to anyone who noticed I referred to both this theory and what secret Russell could be hiding behind his red door if he is under MKUltra as tinfoil hat territory. I think it's kinda unlikely his secret is that he knows Bell is alive, but I had to put the idea into the universe because I'm a sucker for surprise happy endings, and I always like the headcanon that Russell somehow saved Bell after growing attached to them, kinda seeing them as a younger version of himself after giving Bell some of his memories. He does, after all, have a hinted kinder side towards Bell. For example, after revealing brainwashing Bell, he says this, even though there's no need to be kind to them anymore, since he got the info he needed.
You made the right choice, Bell. Come on. You're still one of us.
Or when he talks to Bell in the good ending for way longer than he has to before shooting Bell, rather than just doing it as soon as they arrived. Almost sounding like an apology to Bell or comforting them, or maybe even trying to make himself feel better about what he's about to do. Besides the mushy ideas, why would Russell get rid of such a valuable asset when it comes to fighting Perseus, the big thing that drives him when said fight isn't over? We only stopped the major bomb threat at this point. Perseus would still be out there, and both we and Russell know that. I can't logically state that eliminating Bell was at least Russell's idea with this in mind, nor would I be shocked if he disobeyed orders when it didn't suit him. Going back to Black Ops 6, the Truth Lies ad campaign I talked about during the Alex theory, there's something interesting I saw from a Twitter official teaser giving a quick rundown on Russell. One thing that is brought up about him in it was that he assassinated compromised CIA agents. I'm unsure who the others could be since it says CIA agents, meaning multiple, but I think at least one of them would be Bell since they're the only CIA agent we saw him kill, even if their status as an agent is just to trick them. But we all know that Bell wasn't compromised, they were following orders, saving the US, so that's a lie. Which begs the question, does that mean it's a lie he killed Bell as well? And if we're going off the Truth Lies slogan again, we could say that Russell reported Bell as dead, but whether he's aware of it or not, they survived the encounter. Also coming from an official promotional material, during a podcast talking with the devs, they had this to say about what was canon when it comes to the Cold War ending.
So, when you talk about canon of Cold War, right, it's like, yeah, Adler put a bullet in Bell, right, in that sense, and...
Russell put a bullet in Bell? I might be overthinking the word choice, but why wouldn't you just say he killed Bell? Arash put not 1, but 2 bullets in Bell, yet they survived that. It's just such a weird choice of words to me. A more supplementary piece of evidence for Bell being saved by Russell can be taken from the plot of the Robert Redford movie Spy Game. As I mentioned previously, this movie lines up a lot with Cold War, whether it be that Redford's character Nathan Muir is a CIA veteran case officer who has a similar fashion sense and personality to Russell, or Muir being a mentor to another younger main character he met during the Vietnam War and ends up recruiting to the CIA, similar to Russell and Bell's relationship. While it's not exactly the same as the game, in the movie, Muir's apprentice, Tom Bishop, tries to save his British female love interest who has been taken by the Chinese government. How does that sound familiar? Russell's protege Bell makes the choice to save MI6 agent Park, which we know is the canon choice now, who even if he doesn't have a relationship with her, there are lines about Bell being interested in her, with Russell saying this if you mention she seems familiar.
You just met her yesterday, right? I don't know. Why don't you ask her? Maybe you two have a special rapport. Keep it professional, Belle.
And being able to tell Park a scar she has adds to her beauty. Since it seems Muir matches up to Russell and Bell is similar to Bishop, the end of the movie could hint at Bell being alive. See, when Bishop tries to save that lady he likes, he ends up getting captured too. The CIA is then given 24 hours to make a deal or Bishop will be killed, but they decide not to do anything to get him free. Where things get interesting, though, is through a convoluted secret plan, Muir goes behind the CIA's back and rescues him. This isn't outright proof, but it's able to support the idea that Bell is alive. Putting Russell possibly saving Bell aside, or maybe at least knowing they're alive, I don't know how Bell would have survived, or any of the ins and outs of how it would happen. I could say maybe he shot Bell non-fatally, maybe he re-brainwashed them with a new identity, maybe he didn't even help Bell but they managed to get out alive somehow, but I feel it's too speculatory in this part with too many maybes and no supporting evidence. So because of that, let's move on to Bell possibly being the Cold War operator Harry Stone. In case you've never heard of this part of the theory, it stemmed from when players realized that if you chose male or classified for your Bell's ID document, the model used throughout most of the campaign is Stone's base skin. This idea has been refuted with the fact that Bell's wearing a different outfit when the other characters see them get shot by Arash. But I'd like to counter that the CIA wouldn't let them walk around in blood-stained clothes with 2 bullet holes when seeing them could break the brainwashing. On top of that, they wear a different outfit in the mission, another brick in the wall where you're hunting down Kraus and Volkov. If they can change clothes then, why not another time? Another argument made is that the devs wanted to save time and money by reusing a first-person model. Again, I'd like to object, since if this were the case, why didn't they do this for any of the other models? In a playthrough of the campaign, there are 3 first-person models used for playing as Bell. Their main model, a casual outfit for another brick in the wall, and one for the Vietnam mission Fracture Jaw. Then to get the true total of models, double that number to 6, since while male and classified Bell share these models, female Bell gets their own completely different versions of them. So out of the 6 models, as far as from what I can tell, since I've never seen anyone bring it up, and I tried my best to go through all the playable operator skins and find matches to the other campaign models, it seems only the one Stone model is reused for them. If they were trying to save time, why would they go through the trouble of making 5 brand new models, then stop at 6? On top of that, model reuse that isn't meant for the player to take note of has become much less frequent in modern games. Sure, while some things like trees, cardboard boxes, or door frames might get copied and pasted for various reasons, character models are pretty much never repurposed unless they're for no-name NPCs. I find it highly unlikely this is unintentional. Now, Stone was already raising questions for me on this theory with just the model reuse, but now that he's the only Black Ops 6 operator returning from Cold War, other than Russell and Park, well, unless you count Woods, Brutus being a zombies enemy, and Klaus being a minor character in Zombies, I was extremely suspicious. So seeing all this, I had to do some more digging. One sentiment I hear pop up among theory crafters of all fandoms every now and again is that when you're trying to prove a theory, 1 piece of evidence could be just a coincidence, 2 should raise an eyebrow, and 3 needs to be taken a bit more seriously. Of course, it's still a theory with this thought process in mind, but to say I went from taking it pretty seriously from the previous clues to jaw on the floor when I made it to the last of these 3 pieces of evidence I'm about to show you is an understatement. This first one I've seen mentioned before, but somehow it's never gained much traction. On the menu screen when picking an operator in the Cold War multiplayer, selecting a character will play a character animation. Stone's animation happens to be him making a finger gun, pointing it to his head, and shooting it, then pointing it to the screen. Kinda reminiscent of what happens to Bell in the Good campaign ending, wouldn't you say? Getting what looks to be shot in the head, and raising their gun straight in front of them. Next up comes from the full assault bundle you can buy for multiplayer. For obvious reasons, it's interesting that the skin for Stone that comes with this bundle and the other items have a bit of a Vietnam War look to them, especially with the specific helmet and the charm and sticker beginning its use in that war. But then looking at the fun facts on Stone's skin in the bundle shows that he's wearing American dog tags. Why would Stone, a British former Special Air Services member, have American rather than British dog tags around his neck? Well, if he is Bell and the skin hints at the story any, maybe to convince them of their fake identity and participation in the Vietnam War, the crew gave them their own fake dog tags to have. It's not a lot to support this idea, but there is a clip of a bunch of dog tags hanging from when Bell remembers their brainwashing. As I said, I don't know about the skin's canonicity, but giving a Brit American dog tags would be a weird choice without a reason. It may just be a coincidence, but the bundle also has quite the relevant names to some of the items in it. The one sticker is named Firestarter, which just so happens to be the name of the song by The Prodigy used in the first Black Ops 6 trailer. I'm a firestarter, terrific firestarter. On top of that, the Stone skin is called Instigator, which is one of the first few lyrics in that same song. Might not be intentional at all, but it's something to think about when the song used in the trailers for Cold War, Blue Monday by New Order, had lyrics that lined up scarily well with Bell's story. And no, if you're curious, I can't figure out what the lyrics for Firestarter could mean for the plot of Black Ops 6. I'm good at finding ways to connect dots, but not that good. Going on to my final piece of evidence, I just want to say I'm literally shocked that as far as I can tell, no one has mentioned this before. Coming from another bundle called the Test Dummy Bundle, it features a skin for Stone where he looks like a crash test dummy. Once again, the evidence lies in the name, which is, drumroll please, Expendable Asset. Asset. Where have we heard that nickname before? During the mission Red Light Green Light, we can find a recording of a phone call intercepted by the Soviets with Hudson talking about Bell, and this was said.
The play's been called. The ball's in motion.
Well, if the asset learns the truth.
You're worried about truth now?
I'm concerned about control of the asset.
If we can't control the asset, we end the asset. Game over.
I legitimately almost screamed when I saw this skin's name since my brain immediately put two and two together. Multiple times throughout that same conversation, Bell is referred to as the asset, and plenty throughout the campaign, Hudson shows his distaste for Bell, making it seem he thinks them as expendable, especially in that conversation. If you're not convinced, that's perfectly fine, but this was the final nail in the coffin for me, that even if it was retconned out due to Treyarch seeing a strong distaste among fans for this theory, or the story just ending up going a different direction during production, Bell being alive and taking the identity of Stone had to have been in the story at least at some point of development, if not still being canon coming up into Black Ops 6. Don't worry, if it turns out it's not canon, I'll take my lumps and go with what is actually canon as I usually do in these situations. It'll just be another thing in my list of movie and game plot points that were changed or cut as production went along. But I'll be waiting to see till those credits are over if I did a good job playing Sherlock Holmes for the past few weeks. Now, that's the end of my insane ramblings for today at least. If you felt this video did good, or at least enjoyed the utter chaos my brain cooks up, hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't already. And if you want to keep up with when I upload new videos, am planning a live stream, or just what's on my mind, check out my Twitter, @bumper_YT. It's mostly been Russell Adler brain rot lately, but I'll try to do a bit more than that soon. Hopefully you guys had a great time hanging out, and I made your day a little bit brighter. But until I see you in whatever I'm doing next, this is Bumper, signing off. Bye, guys.